Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. There's the reason you didn't quit when the weight was unbearable. There's a reason you smiled through tears no one saw. There's a reason you walked through fire and didn't burn. You were covered, you were chosen, you were blessed by angels. You see, too many women think their pain is punishment. Too many think their silence means abandonment. But the truth is, when life pulled you away from the noise, it was because something divine was trying to speak to you. This speech, this moment, this is confirmation that everything you've been through wasn't a coincidence. It was preparation. You stay with me till the end, and you'll see just how powerful you really are. You were chosen, not randomly selected. That might sound simple, maybe even poetic, but the truth behind it is deep, raw, and powerful. You weren't just another name in a crowd. You weren't placed on this earth by accident or coincidence. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every mountain you had to climb, it was all part of a divine appointment. See, when a woman is chosen, the path she walks is different. It's heavier, it's lonelier, it's full of trials that make no sense at the time. But that's because the assignment is greater. You didn't go through what you did just to survive. You went through it to be transformed. You were molded in the fire, not burned by it. And not everyone is built for that. Not everyone can take that kind of weight. But you carried it. You cried, yes. You screamed in silence when no one was looking. You broke down behind closed doors. But you never gave up. That's what makes you different. That's what proves you were chosen. Most people won't understand you. And they're not supposed to, because when God chooses you, he hides you for a season. He pulls you out of rooms that no longer serve you. He removes you from people who were never meant to walk with you. And you feel the isolation. You feel the sting of being misunderstood, overlooked, even abandoned. But the truth is, that isolation was protection. You weren't being pushed away. You were being set apart. People around you might have asked, why her? Why does she keep going? Why does she keep surviving things that would have destroyed someone else? Why does she keep rising even when everything's working against her? The answer is simple: because you were chosen. And when you're chosen, the enemy tries harder to break you. He sees the light inside you before you do. He sees the power, the influence, the calling, and he fears it. So the attacks come early, sometimes from childhood, sometimes from the people who were supposed to protect you, sometimes from the very places you were taught to feel safe. But those attacks, they were never a reflection of your weakness. They were confirmation of your purpose. You've walked through seasons where everything around you fell apart. You've been betrayed by people you trusted with your heart. You've had to rebuild yourself from scratch more than once. And still, you're here. Still standing, still pushing, still believing. It's not normal. That's not luck. That's favor. And favor doesn't always look like comfort. Sometimes it looks like a storm. Sometimes it looks like being broken to be rebuilt stronger. The world tries to label women like you. They say you're too much or too complicated. But really, they just don't understand someone who walks with unseen power. Someone who's covered even when it looks like she's falling apart. You weren't built to be average. You weren't created to live quietly in the background. There's a reason your spirit doesn't settle for less. There's a reason your heart knows there's more, even when your eyes can't see it yet. Chosen women don't move like the rest. They don't chase validation. They don't beg for attention. They carry themselves with quiet strength because they know who they are, even if the world doesn't recognize them yet. You've got that spirit. You've got that fire. And every time life tried to snuff it out, you lit another match. Every time you were told no, you found another way. Every time you were left alone, you found strength in solitude. You were chosen to break cycles, chosen to heal generations, chosen to walk in rooms and shift atmospheres without even trying. That's why your presence unsettles people. That's why your silence speaks volumes. That's why your name gets mentioned in rooms you've never even entered. You were chosen to carry light in dark places. And that light is not for decoration. It's for battle, it's for purpose. You're not here just to exist. You're here to lead, to nurture, to rebuild, to inspire. And not everyone will clap for that. Not everyone will support that. But that doesn't stop the mission. Because being chosen isn't about applause. It's about impact. It's about legacy. It's about obedience to a calling that's bigger than your comfort. So the next time you feel tired, the next time you feel unworthy, the next time you wonder if you're on the right path, remember what you've already survived. Remember how far you've come. Remember that something greater than you believed in your strength, even when you doubted it. You were chosen, not picked out of convenience, not selected out of sympathy, but chosen, handcrafted for a specific assignment. And that assignment? It's unfolding right now in your healing, in your growth, in your resilience. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not lacking. You are exactly where you need to be to become everything you were designed to become. So walk with your head high, speak with authority, love yourself without apology, because the woman you are becoming was chosen long before the world ever tried to define you, and nothing can stop what was divinely assigned to you. God sends angels in disguise, and the thing about angels is they don't always look how you expect. They don't come down from the sky with glowing wings and halos. Sometimes they come as people, as moments, as obstacles, as gut-wrenching decisions you were forced to make. Sometimes the very thing that broke your heart was actually the thing that saved your life. Think back to the pain you didn't understand, the friendship that suddenly ended, the job that you thought was everything only to be taken from you, the relationship you begged to work that collapsed right in front of you. In those moments, it felt like punishment. It felt like loss. But looking back, can you see it now? That was protection. That was grace. That was an angel pulling you away from something that didn't deserve you. You were too close to danger, too close to destruction, and God stepped in and said, "Not her, not today." That's what divine favor looks like. We expect blessings to feel good. We expect angels to speak softly. But the truth is, when heaven is fighting for you, it doesn't ask for your permission. It moves, it removes, it rearranges. And when you're in the middle of it, it feels like chaos. You cry, you question everything, you feel abandoned. But what's really happening is this: you're being protected from what you can't yet see. Some angels show up as silence. People ghost you, walk away without explanation, leave you wondering what went wrong, and you chase answers, but none come. That's not rejection, that's redirection. That's an angel making sure you don't stay tied to someone who would have derailed your destiny. You might not have left on your own, so they were removed for you. The angel is that one person who shows up when your world is falling apart. They don't fix it, they don't have all the answers, but they sit with you, they hold space for you. They speak life into you when you've forgotten how to breathe. That's not luck. That's divine timing. That's heaven using someone as a vessel to carry you through. And sometimes the angel is you, that quiet voice inside that said, "Get up." The strength you didn't know you had, the courage to leave when everything in you wanted to stay, the power to forgive when bitterness felt easier. You became the angel you were praying for. You became the miracle you needed. Don't overlook that. Don't downplay that. That wasn't random. That was God's Spirit moving through you. When angels come disguised, most people miss them because we're too focused on the pain to see the purpose. too distracted by what left us to recognize what was making room to enter. That's why discernment is so powerful. You got to look beyond the surface. You've got to trust that even when it doesn't make sense, it's working for your good. Because divine intervention rarely comes wrapped in comfort. Sometimes it comes wrapped in heartbreak. But if you hold on, if you endure the storm, you'll see that everything that fell apart was actually falling into place. You ever met someone and felt peace instantly, like you'd known them forever, even though it was your first conversation? That's not a coincidence. That's an angel moment. That's alignment. That's heaven whispering, this one is safe. You ever lost something and thought it was over only to realize what you gained after was 10 times better? That's an angel moment. That's protection. You can't always explain it, and honestly, you're not supposed to. Because faith doesn't require full understanding. It requires full trust. Trust that you're not walking alone. Trust that heaven is watching always. Trust that even when you feel forgotten, you are being fiercely defended behind the scenes. Some of you are alive right now because of angels you didn't see. You were driving late at night, distracted, tired, and nothing happened. That wasn't luck, that was divine covering. You were in a relationship that should have taken your joy, your peace, maybe even your life. But you got out. That wasn't coincidence, that was divine intervention. You were depressed, isolated, didn't want to keep going, but something pulled you back. Something whispered, not yet. That was an angel. And the more you grow, the more you'll see it. The more you'll recognize those angel moments. Not as accidents, but as evidence that you are seen, protected, chosen. You'll start trusting the no's, embracing the closed doors. You'll start understanding that delays aren't denials, they're detours to something greater. You are not walking blind. Even when the path is dark, there are lights around you, guiding you, shielding you, preparing the way ahead. You're not forgotten. You're not abandoned. You are surrounded. So the next time something shifts in your life without warning, pause. Don't panic. Look deeper. Feel what your spirit is telling you, because God's angels rarely announce their arrival. They just move. They just act. And when they do, it's always in your favor. No matter how hidden the blessing, no matter how painful the shift, if you look closely enough, you'll see it. You were never alone. Heaven has always been walking with you, sending help in disguise. Some women carry a glow that can't be explained, a presence that shifts the room when they walk in. Not because they're loud, not because they demand attention, but because something within them speaks louder than words. That's the sign of someone touched by something greater. A woman who's been blessed, guided, and covered by divine power. You don't have to see the blessing with your eyes to know it's there. You feel it, and everyone else around her feels it too. A woman who walks with divine favor doesn't move the way the world expects. She doesn't chase approval because she already knows she's validated by something higher. She doesn't beg for love because she understands that real love, true purposeful love, is drawn to her, not forced. There's a peace in her, a quiet strength, not because life has been easy, but because she's been through storms and still came out standing. That's what divine favor does. It strengthens what was supposed to break you. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having it all together. In fact, the blessing usually shows up after everything falls apart, after the tears, after the betrayal, after the heartbreak. That's when you start to realize you weren't being punished, you were being positioned. Every loss, every delay, every unanswered prayer, it was leading you to something better. That's favor. That's grace. That's what happens when you are being prepared, not punished. The world teaches women to perform, to compete, to shrink themselves to be accepted. But a divinely blessed woman? She doesn't play by those rules. She doesn't compete where she doesn't compare. Her worth doesn't come from attention, it comes from alignment. She knows when to speak and when to be still. She knows when to walk away even when it hurts, because her spirit has been trained by fire and her peace is too expensive to be disturbed by things that don't align with her purpose. You can see it in her walk. She doesn't rush. She doesn't stumble through life, desperate for direction. Even when she's unsure, even when she doesn't have all the answers, she moves with intention because she's been guided. There's a knowing in her soul that whispers, you're exactly where you need to be. That's divine confidence, that's spiritual clarity. She's not loud about her growth, but it shows. She used to fight battles out loud. Now, she fights in silence and wins in private. She used to explain herself to people who didn't deserve her truth. Now, she lets her actions speak. That's what divine favor does. It matures you. It teaches you that not everything needs a reaction, that not everyone deserves access, that silence can be more powerful than shouting. People often wonder how she keeps going, how she holds her head high when everything around her is falling apart, how she continues to show up, to pour into others, to love again after being broken. The truth is, she's not moving on her own. She's covered, protected, strengthened. Her foundation isn't built on the world's approval. It's built on something eternal. And that's why she can't be shaken. A woman with divine favor doesn't need to prove herself. Her presence is her proof. She could sit in silence and still shift the atmosphere. Because it's not just what she says, it's who she is. Her energy carries healing. Her words carry wisdom. Her love carries weight. That kind of woman doesn't just walk into your life. She's sent. She's placed with purpose. She wasn't always this strong. She had to fight for her peace. She had to unlearn the lies she was taught. She had to rebuild herself after people tried to break her. And through it all, she was being shaped, not by the world, but by grace. And now she stands tall, not because she's never fallen, but because she never stayed down. That's the blessing. That's the favor. That's what sets her apart. She's not the loudest in the room, but her absence is always felt. She doesn't need to be seen to make an impact. She just needs to show up in her truth. And when she does, everything around her shifts. She brings clarity to confusion, peace to chaos, light to darkness. That's what it means to walk with divine favor. You don't try to be the light. People will misunderstand her, try to copy her, try to dim her light because it exposes their shadows. But she doesn't shrink, she doesn't compete, she stays rooted in her lane because she knows what's for her can't be stolen. What's for her will find her, because when you're walking with divine favor, you're not chasing, you're attracting. You're not striving, you're aligned. So if you've ever felt like you were different, if you've ever felt like your spirit doesn't quite fit the crowd, if you've ever felt like you were being guided, even when the road ahead was unclear, trust that feeling. Trust that knowing, because you don't have to look like the blessing to carry it. You just have to live in truth. And when you do, divine favor will find you again and again. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are being refined, elevated, positioned. You are the woman someone is praying for, the woman someone needs in their life, the woman whose light is going to heal places she's never even seen. And it's not because you're perfect. It's because you were chosen. You were blessed. You were favored. And that favor will never fail you. Some women walk through fire and don't even smell like smoke when they come out. You ever wonder how? It's not because life spared them. It's because they were protected in the middle of it. not protected from the storm, but protected in the storm. See, when a woman is chosen, when she's favored, when she's covered by something higher, no weapon formed against her prospers. That doesn't mean the weapon wasn't real. That doesn't mean it didn't cut. It means it didn't conquer. There's a different kind of strength in a woman who survived betrayal and didn't let it harden her heart. A strength in a woman who's been underestimated but still refuses to shrink. Who's been overlooked but still refuses to beg. She's the kind of woman people whisper about because they can't understand how she's still standing, still smiling, still giving, still loving. But if they knew what she's been through, if they knew the nights she cried, the times she broke behind closed doors, they'd realize this woman isn't ordinary. She's been kept. She's been shielded. She's been built by something the world can't explain. She's not naive. She's not fragile. She's deeply aware of the darkness in this world, and yet she still chooses light. She still chooses compassion. That's not weakness, that's power. That's what protection looks like. That's what grace looks like when it wraps around someone's life. When it says, you will not lose yourself in this storm. You will not become what hurt you. You will rise. And she did. They thought they buried her, but they didn't know she was a seed. They thought the rejection would break her, but it refined her. They thought the silence would shut her down, but it gave her clarity. She doesn't waste her time anymore trying to prove her worth to people who can't even see their own value. Her protection gave her wisdom. Her peace became her armor. Her spirit became unshakable. That's why some women don't need to raise their voice to be heard, don't need to fight battles publicly, because they're not operating from ego, they're operating from knowing, from a place of trust, of peace, of inner stillness. She's been taught that the battle is never just what's in front of her, it's also what's happening within her. And if she can conquer the chaos in her own soul, nothing outside of her can defeat her. Her protection isn't loud, it doesn't look flashy, it shows up in small, powerful ways. Like the relationship that ended before it could destroy her. Like the job that passed her over, only to make room for something greater. Like the people who walked away and made space for real ones to come in. It's in the delays, in the detours, in the doors that closed and left her wondering why until she saw what was behind the next one. He doesn't seek revenge because her protection handles what she doesn't even see. You ever notice how some people try to come against her and their own world starts falling apart? That's not coincidence. That's covering. That's what happens when you mess with someone that's protected. You don't fight with her, you fight with what's for her. And you're never going to win that. This woman doesn't walk around bitter. She doesn't carry hatred. That's not who she is. Her protection didn't just guard her body, it guarded her heart. So she can forgive, not because they deserve it, but because she deserves her peace. She can let go, not because it didn't hurt, but because healing is more important than holding on. And she can smile again, love again, trust again, because her story isn't over. It's just getting started. Her protection doesn't mean she's being untouched by pain. It means pain didn't define her. It shaped her, yes, but it didn't finish her. And now she walks different. She's more selective. She guards her energy. She doesn't move out of desperation, but out of discernment. Because when you've been kept, when you've been saved from what was designed to destroy you, you stop playing with your purpose. You start living on assignment. You can't buy that kind of confidence. You can't fake it. It only comes from walking through things that were supposed to kill you and realizing you didn't just survive, you grew, you elevated, you became wiser, more graceful, more grounded. And now she doesn't beg for access. She doesn't fear being alone because she knows if something is for her, nothing can stop it. And if it's not, she's protected from it, even when she wanted it. That kind of woman doesn't just walk around like everyone else. She carries a presence, a calm, a strength that makes people pause. They may not understand it, but they respect it because somewhere deep inside they know this woman's been through something. And she didn't come out with bitterness, she came out with power. That's not luck. That's not random. That's divine. So let this be a reminder to any woman out there questioning her path, thinking life has been too hard, that too much has been taken, that too many people have hurt you. Don't you dare believe it was all for nothing. Don't you dare believe you're not covered. You are protected in ways you can't even see. Watched over by a force that's been redirecting your steps and sheltering your soul even when you didn't know it. You've been preserved. You've been pulled out of places that didn't deserve you. You've been saved from things that would have stolen your light. And now you shine, not because life has been easy, but because you've been chosen. Chosen to rise, to lead, to love, to heal, to be an example of what it means to be protected, not perfect, not painless, protected. And that's more powerful than anything this world could ever offer. You ever look at a woman and see peace all over her? Not the kind of peace you get from the world, not from money, not from applause, not from validation. I'm talking about that deep, unshakable peace that doesn't make sense to people. That kind of peace is different. That's not learned, that's given. That's not from the outside in, that's from the inside out. That's what happens when a woman is aligned with something greater than her circumstance, when her heart is no longer tied to chaos, when she finally understands that she is not what happened to her, she is not her past, not her pain, not her scars. She's more than that. She's been set apart. There's a power in a woman who has found herself after being lost, who has found stillness after seasons of war, not just around her, but inside her. See, peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of purpose. It's the quiet confidence that no matter what comes her way, she'll handle it because she's not walking alone anymore. She knows who she is, and more importantly, she knows who she's not. She doesn't need to prove herself in every room. She doesn't need to clap back, argue, or make noise to feel powerful. Her peace speaks for her. It walks into a room before she does. It's in the way she listens more than she talks, the way she protects her energy, guards her heart, and still offers love without expecting anything in return. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The world taught her that being loud meant being strong, that being seen meant being valued. But life taught her something deeper, that peace is louder than pride, that stillness is stronger than shouting, that walking away is sometimes more powerful than staying and fighting. She's learned how to choose herself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way, because she finally understands not every battle deserves her sword. Some things are better left to something bigger than her. People wonder how she stays so calm, how she keeps smiling when others would have snapped. What they don't see are the nights she cried out for strength, the days she was silent, because if she spoke, the truth would have broken her. What they don't see is the inner war she won, the one where she had to fight her own doubt, her own fear, her own guilt just to get out of bed. And still she did. Still she rose. That kind of peace doesn't come cheap. It was bought with heartbreak, disappointment, and solitude. It came when she stopped chasing people and started chasing growth. When she stopped trying to fix everyone and started healing herself. When she realized that not everyone who started with her was meant to finish the journey. That peace, it was forged in fire. Now she doesn't beg for love. She doesn't cling to comfort. She doesn't fear endings. Because she's seen what happens when something breaks and then blesses. When something leaves and makes room for something better. When everything falls apart and she doesn't fall with it. That's not luck. That's divine peace in action. That's a woman who walks by faith, not by fear. You can tell she's different now. She doesn't panic when plans change. She doesn't lose herself when people leave. She trusts the process because she's learned through trial, through tears, through truth, that everything meant for her will find her, that nothing real can be taken, that her peace is not negotiable, that her presence is a privilege, and that protecting her spirit is not optional anymore. It's survival. People will try to pull her back into drama, into noise, into that old version of her that always had to respond, always had to explain. But she's not her old self anymore. She's been rebuilt, recentered, remade. She doesn't live in reaction mode. She lives in revelation now. And when you reach that place, when you finally see what's within you, the world can't shake you like it used to. Her circle got smaller, but her spirit got bigger. Her goals got quieter, but her vision got clearer. Her needs got simpler, but her values skyrocketed. She no longer trades peace for presence. She no longer says yes to keep people comfortable. If it costs her peace, it's too expensive. If it disturbs her alignment, it's not for her. And she's okay with that. She's more than okay. She's free. The most dangerous woman isn't the loudest one in the room. It's the one who's mastered herself. The one who doesn't need the spotlight because she is the light. The one who knows how to walk away in silence and let her absence speak volumes. The one who's done explaining her worth. That's what real peace does. It makes her untouchable in spirit. So to every woman listening who feels like peace is just out of reach, let me tell you something. Peace doesn't come when everything's perfect. It comes when you decide that your soul is no longer for sale, that your joy won't be negotiated, that your future will not be built on the pain of your past. When you make that decision to stop chasing what drains you and start building what feeds you, the whole atmosphere around you changes. And maybe the world won't understand it. Maybe they'll say you've changed. Let them. You weren't born to stay the same. You were born to evolve, to rise, to walk in peace. So powerful, it confuses those who expected your breakdown. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Because when you walk in peace, you don't just survive life, you transform it. You don't just exist, you elevate. That's what happens when a woman is touched by grace. When she finds her center. When she stops trying to control everything and starts trusting the timing. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't compete, she aligns. And she doesn't fight every battle, she chooses the ones that matter. That kind of woman doesn't just live, she leads. By example, by energy, by peace. You want to know the real power of a woman blessed by higher hands? It's not just in how she carries herself. It's in the atmosphere around her. She walks into a room and everything feels lighter. The tension fades. The noise settles. There's something about her presence that silences the nonsense without her having to say a single word. That's not personality. That's not charm. That's divine protection. That's something you can't fake. That's the covering of something greater than the world. She didn't get that energy from books, beauty, or titles. She earned it in the fire. She got it in the silence when no one clapped for her, when no one understood her pain, and when she cried with no one watching. You see, she didn't just wake up strong. She became strong. She didn't just wake up with discernment. She earned that clarity through betrayal, confusion, and letting go of people she thought she couldn't live without. Now she moves with wisdom. Now she moves with grace. Now she moves with intention. When a woman is chosen, covered, and protected by something higher, the battles that should have broken her just build her. The setbacks that should have delayed her only sharpen her. The silence that once scared her now guides her. Because she no longer reacts to everything, She doesn't chase what leaves, and she doesn't beg to be understood. When you're protected, you don't panic. You pause, you observe, you listen deeper, and then you move in silence and strength. She used to be the one who explained too much, who apologized for shining, who lowered her volume so others could feel secure, but not anymore. Now, she speaks when it's necessary, and she stays silent when it's wise. She understands that protection isn't just about defense, it's about direction. She's covered not just to survive, but to move smart. When she was younger, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, she confused noise with love, chaos with passion, attention with value. But pain became her teacher, and growth became her assignment. And somewhere between breaking down and getting back up, she discovered that the greatest form of strength is peace, that real confidence is quiet, that true protection is invisible. She's not afraid to be alone anymore. She understands that solitude is where her clarity grows, that not everyone deserves access to her energy. She used to feel guilty for walking away from toxic people, for saying no, for choosing peace over people-pleasing. But now she understands that protection sometimes looks like disconnection. Sometimes it looks like walking alone, not because she's bitter, but because she's wise. She knows the difference between a lesson and a blessing. She can spot manipulation through a smile. She can feel dishonesty without evidence. That's not paranoia, that's protection. Her spirit is tuned to something higher now. She doesn't need proof to trust her peace. And when her peace is disturbed, she doesn't try to fix the environment, she removes herself from it, because her presence is a gift, and she's no longer giving it where it's not respected. Some people think she's changed, that she's colder, more distant, more guarded. What they don't realize is that she's evolved. She's not guarded, she's grounded. She's not distant, she's discerning. She's not cold, she's just tired of being burned by what looked warm. So now, she moves with protection, she moves with presence, and she moves with power that's not loud but lasting. And when storms come, she doesn't crumble, she doesn't run, she knows who walks with her, she knows who covers her. And that awareness gives her a calm that can't be shaken. That doesn't mean she never cries. It doesn't mean she never questions. It means she never gives up. Even when she's weary, even when the path looks unclear, her faith, her covering, her purpose, they keep her anchored. It's not that life got easier, it's that she got stronger, she got smarter, she got selective. She stopped trying to fix everything around her and started focusing on what's within her. And now she protects her peace like her life depends on it, because it does. Because when her peace is intact, she thinks better, she loves deeper, she moves freer. She creates from a place of truth, not trauma. And here's the thing, she's not intimidated by storms anymore. She understands that storms reveal things. They show you what's built on rock and what's built on sand. She used to pray for easier days. Now she prays for more wisdom, more clarity, more strength, because she knows she's protected. Not because she's perfect, but because she's aligned. That protection shows up in the way doors close, not to punish her, but to preserve her. It shows up in the relationships